Sustainable employment will be on your agenda right now, not only because you suddenly might not see all the people in the room anymore because you're in a remote work scenario, but also because you realize it doesn't really pay off when you simply stress out your people to get more and more out of them, and in return have them sick straight after. The question is how to do that. And I am very proud that we have, backed by popular demand, someone who's an expert in this area, the owner and leader of Team Andare, which is leading for now 25 years, and a head lecturer of NIDI Business School on Sustainable Employability. Hello and welcome, Paul Terwal.
Hi, Niels. Good to be back.
Thank you very much for taking the time, and I'm getting straight into it. What is sustainable employability? Because that is a term which I think in the Netherlands is a lot more present, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the Netherlands, when someone gets sick, you have to pay them their salary for another 2 years, while in Germany, after a couple of weeks, the state jumps in and keeps on paying for it.
Yeah. Well, I must say we did the same for a long time. If you got ill, we had a law that gave you 70% of your last income. And what we saw is that the number of sick people or disabled people was rising. So it was going to 1 million people not working because of medical reasons. And then we said the Netherlands is sick.
Yeah.
So we changed it. And what we said is, let's make employers, but also employees, more responsible for their own well-being. And that means that if you have not enough employees to work in your company, the employee will suffer. And the company will go broke. In those years, we had enough employees. We could still select 1 out of 10. But, times are changing, especially in healthcare, education system, IT, and that kind of branches. And what we see is that if you take care of employees, they will perform much better. What a surprise.
Yeah, what a surprise indeed. I mean, as a head lecturer at a business school, you work in science as well. And of course, you meet many different companies. Let's face it, many of them will say, we sent the people to your business school because they are already great. They only want to become better. And we all know that in reality, that this is often not the case. They know they have problems and they want to have these problems solved. What, in your opinion, are the most common errors leaders do when it comes to, let's say, the wrong kind of employability and leadership factors? What are the main mistakes companies do?
I think, first of all, they focus too much on financials and statistics and numbers. And I think when you become a leader, you need to take care of the human beings. So what I described last week, we need to stop with thinking in human resources. Even Mintzberg is now saying we are talking about human beings in organizations, HBO.
Yeah.
So, and you can't be a manager of human beings. You can be a supporter, a facilitator, you can coach them, you can support them. So our whole way of thinking is still focused on the Anglo-Saxon way of looking at people. And you are German, I'm sub-German, and we call it the Rhineland model. You need to take care of employees, and employees are human beings. But Gallup is doing research on it. Harvard Business School is doing research on it. So it's not only a European way of thinking, it's becoming a worldwide approach. So we need to train leaders, CEOs, CFOs, CHROs, COOs, and all the others in the company, that we are talking about human beings, and that we need to be more aware of how we can support employees to create more well-being, because well-being will pay off. That's the point.
Yeah, of course, especially when we look at the fact that at the moment when you go on, for example, Kununu, which is a major German platform, and Glassdoor.com, which is a very international platform, when you look at the evaluations people can do today, when you non-sustainably, you can easily damage your whole employer's brand. Because even when you say we don't care about people who are sick because we simply hire someone else, the people who are sick can damage your reputation, make recruitment a lot more expensive at the same time.
Absolutely.
So if you could, let's say we go to Dream World now, perfect situation. Paul Tawal can decide how the perfect HR department should look like. So we're not focusing on payroll, I think. This is something So what in your opinion would be if we don't have any restraints right now, what is the best HR department in your opinion we could have right now?
It's a department that works from one question: how can I support you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only question.
Yeah.
And of course, a leader should ask that question, but he is focused on production and productivity. I get the point.
Yeah.
But the human being department should be aware of how can we support the individual to be more focused on well-being, to have more vitality, so that they can improve their skills and improve their productivity and their well-being. That's the reason why we have an HR department.
Mm.
And they are now focused on numbers, on new jobs, on new people, hiring people, firing people. They're working on how to do a good conversation. And I hate the term good conversation, because every conversation should be good.
Mm.
So it's strange that we focus on it. So for me, utopia will be that you as an employee can get all the support that you need in your working life, but also in your private life, to be the best employee you can be.
So we're talking about a holistic model which does not differentiate anymore between this is work, this is your private life, where you have to deal with your own stuff.
No, the fun part is always that I hear managers say, if you have a rucksack with a lot of problems, leave it.
Backpack,
and walk into the office without any problems. Well, that doesn't work.
Mm.
And we call it presenteeism. People are at work but are not productive. And that's because they have problems at home or whatever.
Mm.
They can't work. And what we know from research is that sick leave is a certain percentage, but presenteeism is at least double that percentage. So if you have 5% of sick leave, you will have 10% of presenteeism. Together, 15% of your people are getting paid but not working.
So people show up at work, although they know they shouldn't, probably out of the fear that they think, if I don't show up, I might get fired. What is the reason why they're still coming?
Well, for example, in the Netherlands, we think it's one-on-one because we have paid sick leave for 2 years, as you say. Mm-hmm. There are countries, I was in Australia, there it's a couple of weeks. So presenteeism is much higher there because you don't get financial support when you are sick at home. So you go to work even though you have a burned out or other problems, because then you will get paid. And what you see is that those people have a productivity of 20-30%. They are there doing something, not being active and productive and proactive in their work. So it costs us a lot of money to have presenteeism. So if we can't take care of what's, for example, because of Corona, you don't have enough work, you don't have enough money, you want to show up, but your mind is a mess because you know your financial situation is so bad you will go broke privately. Yeah. If I can give somebody a coach who can do financial support and get them into a mode that they think, okay, my financial situation is still bad, but somebody is taking care of me and supporting me, well, that will help them to be more relaxed and go back to work and be productive. So we need to look into how can we support individuals to perform to the next level.
Yeah. Excellent. So when we now, something you just said, when people focus on productivity and numbers, at the September-October issue of the Harvard Business Review, and that is September-October 2019, so before Corona even started, and before we had lockdowns and anything like that, the Harvard Business Review had an own edition where the main page, the cover says, "Are metrics undermining your business? Too many leaders confuse numbers with strategy." On the same cover, it also says that, of course, you should make dual career couples work, but also put purpose at the core of your strategy.
Yeah.
I always hear the word purpose, and then people say it's all about the purpose, and we always care about the human being. And basically, on the next slide of their presentation, it's about revenue, profit, sales teams, marketing, and that's our EBITDA goal for 2021.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they like to drop the words, but they don't act on their words.
Yeah, exactly.
So how to do it better, in your opinion?
Well, of course, numbers and EBITDA is important. I'm not going to say that it's silly to have that kind of stuff. But to increase those numbers, to get to a better level, you need to take care of, let's use the word, the resources that you can use.
Yeah.
And a lot of managers are still focusing, how can we get the cheapest resource?
Yeah.
And the cheaper you get, the more problems you will have. If you buy a chair and it's not good for your back to sit 8 hours behind a computer, people will get sick. So yes, the chair was 100 pounds cheaper. But the financial risk is thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
So we're still short-term acting, and we need to think in long terms. And of course, I believe, and on our website of Team Mandare in English, we have an employability benchmark tool.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah, people can do it. It's for free, and it focuses on purpose, and it's asking the CEO, do you think that you people understand and live the purpose of the company? That's 4 questions. Then we have 4 questions on autonomy. Do the people really feel that they are valued? Do you give them space to make decisions? Then the 3rd one is belonging. Do they have the feeling they belong to a team? Do they really cherish the core values, and we know non-negotiables of the company? Is there alignment between the core values of what the company says they are performing and what their purpose is, and their private core values? Because if they don't align, you will mess up. And the 4th one is competencies. We need to train people to the state of the art. We need to invest in people. And we had a program, Investors in People, for a long time. I don't see it anymore. And we call it now in the Netherlands sustainable employability. It's a fake term because sustainable is something that we can't get grip of. But employability means if you need to work till you're 67 in the Netherlands and maybe 70 in the coming years, how can we support you to do it in a proper way? And that's why I connect that human being department back to one question: how can we support you? And what we do is training programs for the whole team, and it's all the same. What we do, the train for the whole company, and the following, but it's never focused on that individual. What does that individual need? And not to be a happy person, because I see a lot of happiness gurus in the world, and it's all happiness. No, happiness means well-being, means productivity and profitability. So I'm not silly saying focus only on happy people. No, I call my program Value to Profit. It needs to go about profitability of the organization. But then you need to look at the core values of the company and of the individuals.
Yeah, I think that's a very good approach, because just when you said happiness gurus, many of these people who, of course, also unsolicitedly approach companies, often they say it's all about happiness and profit will just happen. And we know we have to take care of both actively. So happiness is important, but profit is as well. And you, as you just said, you are there to support. So you're not walking through the door and tell people what you do is all wrong, and we tell you how to do it right.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I see a lot of companies still having that idea that you need to tell people what to do. But when you look at those individuals in their private lives, they invest millions.
yeah.
Children, houses, holidays, and whatever. And then we tell them that they can't be responsible for spending £1,000 on their own education.
Yeah.
Come on, we're silly.
It's absolutely. And the assessment you spoke about, it's available on your website, andare.nl.
Yeah, it's team/andare.com.
Yeah.
It's in English. You can use it, then you see the outcome. And if you want explanation, you can get it for free. Of course, you will give your email address.
Yeah.
But you can do the test just to see what is my understanding as leader of how engagement will be in our organization. Because if you don't start with knowing what engagement means and where you are in the world, you can stop.
Yeah, absolutely. It just went straight on your website, team-andare.com. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Of course, this was great value. Some people now might think, can I get in touch with you? So I'm going to put your contact data in the show notes of this podcast. Again, great content. So at the end of this podcast, for me, there's only one thing left to say. Paul, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Niels, for having me, and love to be of support.